In 2018, today's guest nearly took her last breath. What happened next changed everything. She rebuilt her life, reclaimed her power, emotionally and financially, and went on to help raise over six figures in a single year while building a first of its kind model now replicated nationwide. Today, she teaches women how to turn pain into power and impact. She is the board of director for Alexandra House and founder of Linus Pet Haven. Welcome to She Talks Money, Candice Amundson.
Thank you.
Oh, so excited to have you here. Everybody is in for a treat. So, question number one is you helped raise over $300,000 in just 1 year for a shelter model that didn't exist before. What mindset shift do women need around money to stop asking for permission and start funding big ideas?
In 2018, my relationship with money was rooted in scarcity.
Mhm.
So I felt like it was always out of reach, like it wasn't enough. I didn't have enough. There wasn't enough around. Honestly, it was a little shameful, to
Mhm.
talk about money. And also, I think I was financially controlled at some point, and so money just felt unsafe to talk about. You just didn't talk about it. So I think the biggest belief I had was to shift the understanding about money being abundant. That
Mhm.
was the big shift, you
Yeah.
know? And it's all around us
Mhm.
and it's reserved for only a select few, you
Mhm.
know? So I really feel like once that clicked, everything changed
Mhm.
for me. And when I began raising funds, I stopped asking and explaining and justifying,
Yeah.
I led with the vision
Mhm.
and I wasn't asking for help. I was inviting people to come along the journey and be part of the village to build this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I think the turning point was when I went to the training, Don't Forget the Pets.
Mhm.
I think that was it. I was like, "Oh, I could go pitch a scalable system, not just an idea. Like
Mhm.
this is scalable, you know?"
Yeah.
And it is a first of its kind domestic violence shelter. And it's a model for people to stay with their pets and really build on the human animal bond. So that's what it's all about.
That's incredible. It just brings back memories because my sister battled addiction for a long time. And I know one of her biggest hesitations to going to treatment there for a while was her dog. She didn't want to leave her dog. She was scared the person at the time she was living with would hurt her dog. And a pivotal point was me going in and getting the dog to make sure the dog was safe, that then she went in and got treatment and is doing really, really well today. But
Oh,
like you just said that and it just sparked that. I was like, oh man, by the way, we still have that dog to this day. We never gave her back. I was like 4 years later, I'm like, she's kind of part of our family. And now she has her own dog. But um, so you're a survivor, a board of directors member, and the creator of a first of its kind co-sheltering model. How did reclaiming financial power change your voice, boundaries, and leadership?
that's a good question. For a long time, I felt small when it came to money. Quiet, hesitated. Especially in rooms where big decisions were made, I was just very quiet. And then that silence kind of followed me into leadership
Hmm.
too. And I reclaimed the financial power, and that's kind of when I became louder, and it made me clearer. Like my boundaries became more firm. My voice was more like steady and I stopped kind of shrinking in the
Hmm.
conversations, like, I would just kinda be in the corner,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I stopped doing that, and, the conversations that were being had were talking about funding and talking about strategy and long-term vision, and so money didn't make me powerful, but it, like, gave me a tool to create a system, and a solution to a barrier that
Hmm.
victims and survivors face.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, what's the biggest mistake women make when trying to raise money for causes they care about? And how did you raise six figures without burnout or begging?
That's a really good question. I think one of the biggest mistakes is women are overgivers. I was a little victim to that myself.
Yeah.
Because it's so like you have such a passion a lot of times in
Yeah.
it. And so it's hard to start and stop that.
Hmm.
And And sometimes then I would have this emotional fatigue and then I would feel a little bit resentment. And I'm like, okay, we just need to strategize a little bit better,
Mhm.
So what I decided to do was make it more official.
Mhm.
I said, if I join the board of directors, then my in-kind service of my time
Mhm.
can be a little bit more dedicated, planned out, and
Mhm.
tracked, so that I know I'm having a balance. So using your schedule.
Yeah.
So, I think that was a big thing, and then also I ran every decision I made through this, like, quick checklist. So I would say, "Do I want to do this?
Mm.
Do I need to do this? And then do I have the capacity to do it?" And every time I get to that 3rd one, it's like, "Do I have the capacity to do this?" A lot of times it was like, "No, I
Mhm.
really don't." And if you're kinda like, it's a no.
Mhm.
If you're doing that. So
Yeah.
I think having, like, your own way of doing a quick checklist so that we're in the moment, someone's like, "Hey, can you come volunteer for this thing for 12 hours?" And you're like, "I would love to, but do I have the capacity on my calendar to do that?"
Mhm.
And I really don't. So then finding a different way to get involved and still be there. Well, what if I, printed all the flyers and
Sure.
drop those off? Or finding another way to
Mhm.
keep yourself involved, other than sucking your time.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure I know the answer to this, but how did your joy in your life switch when you started doing that?
Well, it wasn't about me anymore. It was
Yeah.
about building something better for the
Mhm.
community and for, like, our future children. I truly feel like violence is a learned behavior and it's passed down. And so if we can stop the cycle and
Mhm.
talk more about it, I feel like that's better off. So I think having the passion
Mhm.
was one,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure. Um, why do you believe most shelters struggle to scale? And what did you do differently that turned your vision into a nationally replicated model?
I love this question because I've been on many panels, national panels, and
Mhm.
talking about this, and it's always like the same questions.
Mhm.
Well, and people come up with all the things that you can't do. Like, well, what about allergies? What about insurance? Like, what if
Mhm.
dogs and kids mix and they bite?
Yeah.
Like, what about that? We don't think the city's gonna approve it. We don't have the partnerships. We don't
Mhm.
know how to write an MOU. I didn't MO who? I was like, "A what?" MOU. Oh, that's a memorandum of understanding between you and another community member. So
Oh.
I learned really quickly,
Mhm.
that there's like these common things that people are like, it's a roadblock, how we're gonna get through allergies. Well, what if we had 2 washing machines and
Mhm.
one was designated for an allergy free kind
Mhm.
of a room, and we had one room that didn't ever have any pets in it?
Mhm.
There's so many ways to overcome it. So
Yeah.
I found that was going to be the thing. And I think the way I overcame it was I always came from curiosity. And I would
Mm.
say, how could we make that work? If we don't want dogs and kids to
Mhm.
be walking across each other and, risk of bite prevention,
Mhm.
well, we created a way that the dogs stayed in the rooms and they had a little tiny credenza that they went outside to relieve themselves. So we've always
Cool.
found a solution to whatever kind of roadblock. So it
Yeah.
really comes down to the mindset of the staff as well. Like
Yeah.
if they're just saying, we can't do it,
Yeah.
throw our hands in the air,
Mhm.
then guess what? You're probably not gonna do it.
Right. How about instead we say, "How can we do this? How can we make this happen?"
Yeah,
Right?
or who's doing this already? There's gotta be
Yeah.
somebody, and with, chat and all these access to AI tools,
Mhm.
I mean, you can really put something in and say, "Is there somebody doing this in the world?" And you could
Mhm.
probably come up with a few people? So
Yeah.
I think it's just about having a mindset of curiosity.
Mhm.
Like, we have a problem here. How can we bridge this gap and close a barrier? Who knows how to do it? Where are those people? Because you really have to build a village.
Mhm.
We had to make a bill within the city to allow this to happen. So
Mhm.
we had to reach out to people that know how to do that, or
Yeah.
that have already done it. Or if you're taking a building and you're reaccommodating it to allow pets to go outside, you need
Mhm.
an architect to do that.
Yeah.
So we just had all the people, we got all the people where they needed to be. And we just said, huh, how do you do it? How can we do it?
Yeah.
By curiosity.
I love that. Problem solving, right? Figuring it out. So, your work has now influenced domestic violence shelters, homeless shelters, and recovery centers nationwide. What advice would you give women who want to turn lived experience into funded impact?
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between just telling your story. There's a lot of power in that. And actually like building something with
Yeah.
that. So my lived experience just kind of fat fuels my passion, I would say.
Hmm.
But I think the work just comes from wanting to have in any crisis situation humans and animals healing together.
Yeah.
So I feel that I think it's something where if we can reach domestic violence shelters, homeless shelters, recovery centers, mental health facilities, elderly, I
Hmm.
mean, anybody that's in a crisis or has mental health needs, if we can have the pet with the people, I really believe that's a great way to heal.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, were you always an animal lover? I'm like just an animal like whisperer. I love animals. Have you been this way? Or what was that moment that you kind of it like the aha, like you put this together, like, oh, this is a great idea. What happened?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've always been an animal person for
Hmm.
sure. I thought I was going to be a veterinarian when I was 5,
Yes.
and then I did go into vet tech school and, did
Okay.
did some things.
Hmm.
But I think that the moment where it clicked was I finished vet tech school in 2005 and I was going to be starting an externship at an emergency clinic
Okay.
and Hurricane Katrina happened
Oh
and
wow.
I was like I have this calling to go there and
Hmm.
rescue animals. And
Hmm.
so I had to ask them like, do you mind if I go down Hurricane Katrina, help
Hmm.
rescue animals?
Yeah.
And they said, yeah, no problem, go.
Yeah.
So I got to experience firsthand what it was like for people and pets during a hurricane to be
Yeah.
separated and how sad the animals were. And
Hmm.
like, they were full of fleas, they were just dirty. Like we had to really take care of them. And there
Hmm.
was a system to microchip and try to get them back. And I did actually get to see people reunited
Okay.
with their dogs too.
Yeah.
So I think that experience, seeing in this crisis,
Hmm.
and then, going through veterinary medicine,
Hmm.
and then when I couldn't leave my situation
Hmm.
because we couldn't bring our dog, I truly believe that all of those experiences have led to me creating not just a shelter here, but a
Hmm.
model that can be duplicated. We
Hmm.
have Stepping Stones that is doing it locally with our
Yeah.
shelter, homeless shelter, and across the world. And then it doesn't have to be only one, domestic or
Hmm.
it doesn't have to be one category. It can be
Sure.
anybody in any crisis. So I think that once I put all those things together
Hmm.
and I was like, wow, no wonder,
Yeah.
I'm finding a solution for people, like taking a barrier away for
Yeah.
people that really want to get to heal, and get
Yeah.
away from something.
What I love so much about this is I just keep thinking of Ed Milet. I love his podcast, and he always is talking about help the people you used to be, right? And I just see this right
Hmm.
here, right? Like you've just kind of come full circle and have really done that. So do you have any advice for maybe people in the situation you were in and or hope of like, okay, you're here, but there is hope and you can, you can achieve dreams or you can make a difference. Anything you'd want to say to them?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I would say that really empowered me was reading the book We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel
Mm,
Rodgers.
okay.
And I think it has a really good history of women and money. And she
Okay.
talks about, some of the things that we had to overcome over the years and
Mhm.
just kind of like more from a historical standpoint.
Yeah.
And it really empowered me to know that actually women do more or good with the money they have.
Yeah.
And so I kind of took that on and I said, it's like my drawn duty, whether you're spiritual or if you believe in God, I felt like it was my calling to
Mhm.
get out there and share that,
Yeah.
with people. So yeah, so I really think that we do have a gift. And that book was something that really like helped me like step into it. Like
Yeah.
it's one thing to read something and understand it and like,
Mhm.
take it in, but to really feel
Yeah.
something and step into that. And
Yeah.
then when you have that confidence and it comes from passion and you know that you're doing more good for the
Yeah.
world, it's not about you anymore. So
Yeah.
it's easy to walk up to someone and say, I need $100,000 to make this pet shelter.
Yeah.
And you know what it's doing? It's causing a gap, it's breaking this barrier
Mhm.
for people, only less than 20%
Mhm.
of the domestic shelters across the world allow pets.
Wow.
So there is a huge
Yeah.
barrier. And I don't even know the statistics for homeless shelters and other type of
Yeah.
recovery centers, things like
Yeah.
that. So, yeah.
That's amazing. I love the work that you're doing. Um, is there anything up and coming? I think I might know some exciting things happening that you can share with us.
Yeah. So we have every March, we do our Hope Gala. So
Okay.
that's our big gala where we all get dressed up.
Mhm.
And even more importantly, it's a big organization where we put together live auction items. We do a wonderful dinner. And then one of the things we do is we bring back participants or
Okay.
people that have healed through their journey to share
Oh,
why.
love that.
Why are we here today?
Mhm.
Why are we and last year we raised over 150,000 in the room, like just within 10
Wow.
minutes. So the energy in there and I mean it's just electric. So this year, I'm so pleased. I don't even know who the woman is yet.
Okay.
But she did use Linus's Pet Haven.
Okay.
And from what I understand, she stayed there for 90 days with her dog and 2 cats.
Okay.
And she has now since been on her healing journey and
Wow.
she's willing to come and speak at the Hope Gala alongside myself. So it's kind of like a full circle moment where I get to tell why this was created
Mhm.
because Linus and I weren't going to leave each other.
Right.
And then creating Linus's Pet Haven and
Mhm.
then her using that service of the emergency shelter. And then,
Oh,
so we're actually going to be recording our professional video next
okay.
week. And the Hope Gala is the 28th of
Okay.
March. And so we will be on the big screen.
Oh, so
And we
cool.
will be up front, kind of saying a few words.
Yeah.
So I am so, so grateful. And I really, I know that we helped by creating this service.
Mhm.
We helped save her life. And
Yeah.
it's amazing to know like how many others.
Yeah. That's
So
amazing. So if you're listening to this and you want to be a part of it, right? People can attend, they
yeah.
can donate for sure. We're going to have the details in the show notes. And then we have some links to some things, right? There's a video that we're going to link in the show notes. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that video was done, I believe, January of 2025.
Okay.
So that was when we had our, grand opening, the ribbon
Okay.
cutting ceremony.
Awesome.
So we were accepting pets at that point.
Okay.
And the story is really cool. It's done by CBS and it kind of shows an inside the
Hmm.
shelter look, which is rare because, the security is very high.
Yeah.
So we did actually all the participants got to go on like a little fun trip.
Oh, fun.
So they went to go do something fun and then we were able to have the news there and kind of
Okay.
show that. But that kind of shows you what we did to reaccommodate it and how we're working to, break the barrier of people and their pets healing together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Anything, lasting words, anything else you want to share with the audience?
I would say, no matter where you're at in life, just start where you're at,
Mhm.
and really love yourself. I think once you start working on yourself and you really start digging deep into your healing journey,
Mhm.
you can only, love more once you start to
Yeah.
love yourself. And I know it sounds really cliche, it really does. And if it just means you walk by the mirror and every time you walk by the mirror, you go, oh, I have nice eyes today. Or
Yeah.
high, like who is it? Mel Robbins. She does the high five.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whatever it is,
Yes.
get in the habit of loving yourself
Mhm.
and just practice.
Yes.
Practice doing things of self care because I notice that as soon as I do that and I'm feeling great, I walk outside and I see someone and I just naturally smile at them like I'm in a
Yes.
good mood.
Yes.
And I feel like the world just needs so much more of
Yeah.
that. So I would say that's my one tip is, you know, find yourself, love yourself so you can
Mhm.
love others.
That's amazing. And you deserve it,
Yeah.
right?
We
You
all
deserve it. We
deserve
all
it.
deserve it.
All of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here, Candice.
Yeah.
You're such an amazing friend. I'm so glad that our paths crossed and now you get to share your story. And she has an amazing story as well. We're going to have all the links in the show notes of the show. And Stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode of She Talks Money. We'll see you next week.